Dharmesh, it's been a pretty quiet window, isn't it, for West Ham? Not really much to talk about.
Really quiet. Nothing happening. No signings. No rumours of signings. No players flying in for medicals. West Ham fans should be absolutely gutted. Nothing going on at all.
Absolutely. It's been crazy. But I'll tell you what, though, mate. The biggest bit of news I think we've got to get straight to the point because the fans are going to be desperate to talk about it. Is your beard? What's going on with your beard? What's happened?
No, it's on and off.
It's gone. What's happened? I thought we were going to be beard brothers. That was why I was excited.
Well,
I was getting all excited.
It just got to the point where I kind of became more aggro when the beard grew. A bit like Roy Keane got more aggro.
Oh, right. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So I just thought I need to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, I did notice you getting a bit aggressive in the old Sky studio.
Yes.
Kicking a few chairs about.
Exactly.
Right, so should we want to talk about a few things, don't we? Obviously, it's quite a busy time for West Ham, bit of a busy summer. So we do a little bit of a recap where we are then of where things at the moment are at West Ham.
So a busy week last week, of course. 3 signings: Crescencio Somerville from Leeds, Nicholas Füllkrug from Borussia Dortmund, which is quite a coup. 4-year contract for a 31-year-old. Some people were kind of saying that's quite a long contract, but I think he's the kind of player that's the finished article, if you like, comes into the team and starts scoring. And then, of course, the Guido Rodriguez deal, which is really interesting. We did a Transfer Talk podcast the other day, and we had Terry Gibson on, who follows, Spanish football really, really closely. And he is really impressed with this bit of business because Rodriguez was supposed to go to Barcelona. Everything was agreed. There was a lot of talks in the past 6 months. He was going to join on a free transfer. And then Xavi left the club. And then that deal kind of fell through. West Ham United saw an opportunity. I brought him in on a free transfer on a 2-year contract plus a 1-year option. And the way Terry Gibson was talking about him was, it's almost Sergio Busquets vibes that he's giving. Wow. That's what Barcelona wanted him to do when he came to Barcelona. So, look, Terry Gibson knows a lot more about La Liga than me. So this looks like an exciting signing, aside of the other two, which look more headline making because of the fees involved and people actually, really, really knew about the players. This guy's got coming pedigree, though, right? He's got a World Cup winners medal. He's part of that squad. He's won the last 2 Copa America tournaments with Argentina as well. So, I mean, amazing. And now, today, I mean, we've had this long-running saga about centre-backs. Now, the situation was right at the start of the window, we knew that they were after Max Kilman. So they were definitely after one centre-back, and they brought him in. They were going to go into the market again if another central defender left. Now, there was a lot of talk about Naif Aged and Kurt Zuma getting interest from the UAE and Saudi Arabia throughout this transfer window. But what West Ham United were trying to do was, try and get deals in place almost in the eventuality that one of these players leaves so that they're not left short in the squad. So in the background, Tim Snyton's been working on a whole host of deals in case one of these defenders left. Now, in the last couple of days, it's all developed. So you have the situation where Kurt Zuma is on his way out of the club. He's expected to have a medical very, very soon with the UAE club Shabab Al Ahli. That's likely to be a free transfer, even though he's got a year left. I think it's more the wages coming off the books that is going to be more beneficial for West Ham United. And then there was the case of Jean-Clair Todibo. And if you remember, a month ago, West Ham United actually agreed a deal with Nice. It was a loan with an option worth around 32 million euros. So that was all agreed with Nice. And I think that was Nice's message to Juventus to, look, you're going to need to pull your finger out here because we've agreed a deal with West Ham. And I think West Ham, they were pretty accepting about the whole thing, that yes, they did want the player, but I think they effectively knew that he wanted to go to Juventus and they expected Juventus to come in and agree a deal with Nice. However, weeks and weeks of talks and negotiating and no resolution between Juventus and Nice. And while West Ham United are looking at other targets as well, I know X has been speaking about Umar Soulé, there's Trevor Chalobah as well. There's even Mats Hummels was being looked at as well. That deal remained on the table. So the communication with Nice was always going to be open because they'd agreed a deal with Nice about Todibo. And they probably, translated that message across if in the very small circumstance it doesn't happen with Juventus. We're still here if you still want to do a deal.
Yes.
But now what's transpired is West Ham United have spotted an opportunity because they've seen that Juventus simply can't get that deal over the line. Lengthy talks between the technical director, Tim Stuyton, and Nice and the player over the past 24 to 48 hours. And what's culminated is an agreement with Nice. It's an initial loan and it's an initial option as well, which probably will turn into an obligation depending on certain conditions like appearances. And it's worth, we think, 40 million euros plus a sell-on clause, we think, as well, included in that. And the player is now on his way to London with Tim Stuyton. He's about to do a medical, and this one is happening so quickly that he could well be a West Ham United player sooner rather than later. And I think Tim Stuyton has really gone in there and convinced the player, look, it's not going to happen for you at Juventus. It doesn't look like they're going to do this deal. You can come to the Premier League. These are the personal terms. This is where you're going to be playing every week. And it looks like he's been convinced.
Yeah, it does seem that way, because that was the question, I think, with fans, and I've always felt that the player never effectively rejected West Ham. I think he always just preferred the idea of going to Juventus, and Turin, huge club, competing in Europe, etc. So you can kind of understand the lure of going to Juventus. But at the end of the day, money talks, isn't it, when it comes to transfers? And if they haven't got the money to get the player, then obviously it's a case of that.
Look, Mark, great position here, because they have effectively communicated to Juventus without telling them that they've agreed a deal with West Ham. This was earlier on in the month. Earlier on last month. So by saying you've agreed a deal and that fee is out there, Juventus know what they have to get to. Now, if Juventus had got to West Ham's original deal, that could have happened. This 32 million euros doesn't seem like it wouldn't have been attainable for Juventus. But for whatever reason, be it personal terms or the structure of that payment, they haven't been able to agree, even though maybe they got to the same figure somehow as West Ham United. And maybe West Ham United have then gone back in, and it's only, another 8 million euros that they've added to that original deal that was agreed before. Yeah. But that's probably what's got it over the line, along with these talks from Tim Stuyton. So I think it's been a sensational window. And like we've always been speaking about, central defence being a real priority position for West Ham. Ogbonna left, Hillman came in, and we thought if there's going to be another departure, and Kurt Zuma's a pretty big departure because, he's been a regular for West Ham United over the past few years. He leaves, you need to bring in someone that, is going to be going straight into that team, or at least challenging. And I think Todibo more than fits that profile.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really exciting signing. I mean, obviously, it's still not done yet, but it feels like it's getting heading in that direction. It feels like West Ham as well sort of seems to have adopted quite a bullish style the way we're going around the market. When we used to be, I felt that we struggled a little bit sort of landing top profile players, but it feels like we've got confidence about us, a bit of a swagger about us. Obviously, I appreciate we've got a bit of money, but I quite like the fact we seem to be quite shrewd as well. Do you put that down to Stuyton, actually, that kind of change? I
mean, you can't underestimate the job that he's doing, I don't think, because since he's come in, if you look at some of the signings that have come in to West Ham United, and there was always that danger, wasn't there, when you've got this £100 million plus for Declan Rice, how is that money going to be spent? And I don't think overall West Ham United fans can have too many complaints about some of the players that have come in. Mohamed Kudus, outright success. The players that have come in so far during this transfer window, West Ham United fans have been excited about. This possibly, Todibo, if and when it gets over the line, will probably be the one that excites them the most. I know it's not a central defender and it's not as it's not a striker, it's not a forward player who scores the goals. But by all accounts, if you're challenging Juventus, and a team like Juventus are going for a player like Jean-Clair Todibo, and West Ham United are beating a club like Juventus to someone like Jean-Clair Todibo, then that this player is a good player. And I think you say, is Tim Stuyton should be given a lot of credit for this. I think they've also been really shrewd and clever in the market as well, in the way that they've done certain deals. Because if you go back to this whole situation with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in a moment. But they went in for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, found out that, the deal couldn't be agreed. And they knew Manchester United were going out after Nusem Mazraoui. So then they went after Nusem Mazraoui. And they, rather like they had done with Nice originally, agreed a deal with Bayern Munich for Nusayr Mazraoui. Whether they were going to get him or not, and whether the player wanted to go or not, this was a bargaining chip that both West Ham and Bayern Munich then had, because Bayern Munich effectively can communicate to Manchester United, we've agreed this deal with West Ham, and these are basically the figures we've agreed, so you're going to have to at least match that. Whereas West Ham United can then think, if United are really desperate to go for Mazraoui, then we can pivot back to Aaron Wan-Bissaka because he was our original target. So I think they've been pretty clever. It might not have been the way that I'm just looking as an outsider and thinking, you know what, good move. It's certainly something a refreshing approach to see West Ham being quite smart in the market. You know, something we've not really been used to, and it's exciting for fans. There's no two ways about it. You know, I know West Ham fans. It's on social media. Sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but I know West Ham fans will be on social media, and they'll still have a few moans, etc. But I think the measuring stick is going to be when you see other fans messaging and posting on social media about West Ham business, and you know, if they start saying things like West Ham doing bits, you know that West Ham are doing bits.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's exciting. And to be honest, funny enough, just before we did this video, I've just put it on Twitter actually, or X, whatever it's called now, and going through it. And there is a lot of a few eyebrows are being raised, I think, from fellow fans thinking, what's going on over there? But no, it's good.
Great
it's really
emoji action. The eyebrow raise.
Exactly. Wan-Bissaka then. So this is one that seems to be dragging, mate. It's been going on for a few weeks now, and
I've saying close.
It always feels like it's the same update. Do you know what I mean? It's like
sorry about
that. Do you think there's any confidence there? West Ham are going to get this deal done? Do you think, or is it something that West Ham are getting frustrated with?
I've been saying it's close for 4 weeks. So here's a new update. It's close. No, look, they're still pushing to sign him. They do want him. I think a lot of the details of this deal have been agreed between club to club. Maybe a few details on the structure and maybe the final fee. Personal terms not expected to be a problem. We think that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is open to the move. One of the stumbling blocks at the moment, and this might bring back bad memories for West Ham United when they tried to sign Harry Maguire from Manchester United last summer, because we think there might be still details to finalize on his exit terms from Manchester United and how much he might be owed for his exit from Manchester United. Because when players sign contracts, there are always the minutiae of contracts always include things like if and when a player leaves. Now, if a player asks to leave that club and hands in a transfer request, I think he foregoes certain amounts of money within a contract. Right. I mean, all contracts are different, of course. You'll have to speak to experts, but to give you a broad idea of my understanding of it, here, Aaron Wan-Bissaka hasn't actually asked to leave. So it would be Manchester United's decision to basically sanction this move to West Ham United. And I think added to that, there's also a little bargaining chip that Aaron Wan-Bissaka has got, because we know that Inter Milan are interested. Right. Now, with it being a club outside England, Aaron Wan-Bissaka could quite rightly turn around and say, I'll wait until January and sign a pre-contract agreement with Inter Milan and leave for free. So United want to avoid that, hence why Wan-Bissaka might be able to use a bit of bargaining power against the fact that he won't leave for free and accept to move to West Ham United instead. So I think there's still discussions to be had between Manchester United and West Ham before that deal goes over the line. As far as West Ham United are concerned, I think the majority of what they need to do with club to club and club to player, I don't think they've got an issue with. I don't think that's the part of the problem here. I think that if there are any issues there, I don't think they're insurmountable. Let's put it that way. I think they're just waiting for this other bit to get sorted out before they can proceed with that move. But as I said, they're still pushing. They still want him. It's clear that they want him. And 3 weeks today, as we record this before deadline day, and to get it done.
Yeah. I think as well. When you look, although not to sound like being greedy, but I think from West Ham's point of view as well, it feels like it's the final piece of the jigsaw a little bit this window. Just that getting that right back position sorted, because that is kind of where we've lost Ben Johnson as well. So I think it's something, and I think Soufal's now getting on a little bit to rely on him all season. So you do feel like West Ham do need to get that sorted. But yeah,
it's
mate,
pretty refreshing though. If you're a West Ham United fan, it must be pretty refreshing when you're watching. And you've probably gone from the outset of this window, right? I think West Ham need a centre-back, maybe two. Or one has gone. What's going to happen with Zuma and Aged? Right, probably two centre-backs. Probably need a right-back. Probably need a winger as well. Full forward. Antonio's at this age. Do we want to play Bow in there? We need a forward. And then to get all of these deals done and over the line. And add to that, I mean, I was speaking to X about this as well. Towards the end of the window, I think if there's a deal to be done, I think a midfielder can't be ruled out before the end of the window as well, which is
crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. And the fact we're doing it early as well. We rarely do this. We're usually right at the tail end of the. We usually have started our season with and we're still bringing 3 or 4 players in. So,
but that will not stop West Ham United fans when the season starts. And if there's a defeat in there, we need 3 players.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're all rubbish. This hasn't worked out. Yeah, exactly. No, it's brilliant. It's very exciting, mate. I'm really, as a West Ham fan, really, really happy the way things are going. It's really refreshing. It's nice, and it gives us a little bit of hope for the season coming up. You start thinking, is this going to be a side that are going to be capable to challenge, the sort of the bigger sides and challenge for those European spaces again? And you'd like to think so with the quality we've got in the side, but obviously it's not as simple as that. They've got to obviously settle and get into a new system, and hopefully it all works out. But yeah, no, as a West Ham fan, it's a really good time, Dharmesh.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you look at some of the players that are at the club, and it's sometimes paper talk and people on social media and talking about players that could potentially leave. I don't think anyone's leaving West Ham United. That West Ham United fans didn't want to leave. They're keeping their best players. There's lots of talk about Kudus, wasn't there? I know he's only been there for a season, but he's there.
Yeah,
ready for the season.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant, and I'm very excited. As long as we can keep hold of those players, I'm fairly confident we will. It's looking really good. Dharmesh, it's been an absolute pleasure as always for your updates. And are we going to have another update from you on this channel before the season starts?
Go on then.
Yes, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it'll all be done by then. We'll be talking. It will last about a minute, and we'll just say, incredibly, the season started, and West Ham United have completed all their signings.
Yeah, exactly, all done. We'll just talk about something else to talk about.
And 2 games in or whatever it will be then. West Ham United sitting top of the league, 100% record.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, that's basically guaranteed. So, that's good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Mate, look, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you as always. And I'll catch you in a couple of weeks then.
Pleasure, Mark. Thank you.
Take care, Dharmesh. Bye, mate.
Cheers, man.